It was the start of fall, early into September, when the leaves on trees start to lose their green and the summer heat wanes until it becomes autumnal chill. Around this time every year, I'd plan a hiking trip through the woods a few miles north of my house, but this year wasn't any different. Just another hiking trip. I used to enjoy them a whole lot more, but by this point it was essentially just ritual. Just another thing I'd do to pass the time and mark down another date on my calendar. I had my bag packed with a few days' worth of essentials, homemade jerky, those overpriced MREs you find at wilderness shops, extra pairs of socks, you get the gist. Had a walking stick too for when the trail got a little dicey. I decided to take my dog along this year too, since nobody'd be around to watch him this time. Friends and family had all packed up and left in the years prior. Left me alone in this wooded dump of a town. Got my dog in the back of my truck and headed out for the trail. The drive was about 15, maybe 20 minutes, through unmarked gravel roads that led into dirt ones. Think I'm the only person who used that trail since it wasn't maintained at all, and it got harder to follow every year. I didn't mind. By the time I got there, it was noon. The sun was high in the sky, casting shadows from the trees to the ground that looked like webs. The start of the trail was marked by a faded sign. I could never read it. It looked like it'd been faded like that since long before I moved into the area. I grabbed my pack from the passenger seat, put my dog on his leash, locked up the truck, and started down the trail. It was a long few hours before darkness set in. With it came a bone-chilling nighttime wind. I decided to set up camp. I realized while laying in my tent, dog beside me, that I had set up camp in this exact spot before. I could feel dents in the ground below the tent floor where I had staked the ground. For a moment, a brief one, I felt nostalgic, happy. Then the moment was gone. Day 2 of the hike was marked by cooler temperatures than the day before. No wind, but a constant chill. Just still air, blocked from the sun by a blanket of trees. I walked with my dog down the trail till we came across a small stream, halting the trail along its width. This felt new to me. I figured I might have gotten turned around, so I sat near the water with my compass and map, trying to figure out exactly where I'd ended up. My dog sat a few feet away, sniffing at the water, drinking some. My water was still decently full, so I didn't take any. It was flowing quickly, misting the nearby air as it went. It felt too cold to not be frozen. A sudden rustle in the nearby bushes startled us both. We looked around to see what it was. Couldn't see anything. Another one, further away this time. The dog leapt forward. Whether to chase it down or just to see what it was, I don't know. I called for him to come back. Kept calling, louder and louder as he got further away. Eventually it turned into more of a shout. He was completely out of sight by the time I heard him yelp. A sad sound, the kind you hear when a dog gets hit or hurts itself. It echoed between the trees like bird song. A few minutes passed as I waited for him to come back over the crest of the hill. I didn't dare follow. Something in my gut screamed at me whenever I tried. I waited by that stream for close to an hour before I heard another noise. A shriek. Still distinctly canine, but barely. One of the loudest things I'd ever heard. It didn't echo, just sunk into the damp soil and tree bark of the forest. That noise was enough for me to ignore the feeling in my gut. I grabbed my pack and started running, almost tripping over stray branches, bushes, my own damn feet. I ran towards the source of the sound until I couldn't anymore, and by the time I stopped, I realized I was hopelessly off trail, in a part of the forest I had never seen, without my dog, without any trail to guide my path. I was alone, and it was getting dark. Nighttime set in faster than I felt like it should, and I again set up my tent. It felt empty, and even with me in it, it almost felt too cold to sleep. Day 3 started with another shriek. It cut through the walls of my tent and pierced my ears so loud and shrill it hurt to hear. It didn't sound quite as canine as the last. It was less guttural, more desperate. Hours more spent in the forest searching for my dog led to nothing. Eventually, by luck or some accidental navigation, I found my way back onto the trail. I recognized the spot. It was just past my first campsite. Still not sure how I got turned around that much. That feeling in my gut returned, stronger, when I saw the trail. I think it was then that I gave up hope of finding him. I figured I'd be able to make it back to my truck before nightfall if I walked a bit quicker than normal. I started down the path in that direction when I heard a scream. Not a yelp or a shriek, a scream, the kind that a human makes. It was agonized and it filled me with fear. I bolted down the trail for my truck, left my pack behind so I could run faster. I got to the bend where the trail starts after about an hour or so, less time than it should have taken by far. I realized where I was and bent over, putting my hands on my knees to breathe. That was when I saw it, standing 5 feet in front of me, staring at me. Black fur matted with blood and dirt. My dog. I was happy at first, ready to run over and pick him up. Then we made eye contact. Its eyes were different. Not the typical glazed-over brown, glassy eyes, almost devoid of thought I knew. They were still brown, but they were focused, direct, knowing. They looked at me and through me, making small micro-movements as they scanned my face. These were not the eyes of a dog. These were the eyes of a man. And when they looked at me, wide open, unblinking, I could hear what they wanted. Leave, they said. Go. In the afternoon light, I swear I saw hundreds of small glints poking through the trees. I got in my truck. When I looked back, my dog was gone. I could still feel the eyes he wore staring into me. I was exhausted by the time I got back into town. Driving down the main road, I noticed that none of my neighbors had dogs of their own, even though some had dog houses in their front yards. I left town shortly after my last hike, sold my house to some family moving in with a dog of their own. When I met them, I saw their dog sitting close behind. When it looked at me, I saw its eyes.